Hello, everyone. I'm the Scarred Storyteller, and I'm here to help you unwind today. If you're using this video to fall asleep, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel before you drift off. By the way, where are you watching from, and what time is it for you? Now, get cozy, relax, and let's begin. The storm came out of nowhere. One moment, I was driving along a winding country road, the kind that doesn't show up on maps, and the next, I could barely see past my headlights. Rain hammered the windshield, and the trees lining the road swayed like frantic dancers. The crack of thunder was so loud it felt like the car's chassis vibrated with it. I wasn't even supposed to be on this road. A GPS detour had led me here, promising a faster route. I was regretting it now. When my car sputtered to a stop, the dashboard blinking ominously, I felt a prickle of panic. I turned the key again and again, but the engine only coughed in protest. The storm didn't let up, and the road ahead was swallowed by darkness. My phone was dead, and I cursed myself for not charging it before leaving. I had no choice but to look for help. Grabbing my flashlight from the glove compartment, I stepped out into the downpour. The cold was immediate, seeping into my bones. The beam of the flashlight cut through the rain, revealing an overgrown path veering off the road. A wooden sign hung crookedly on a post, the lettering nearly illegible. I squinted against the rain, trying to make it out. Willow's End. It sounded like a bad omen, but I didn't have the luxury of being picky. The path led to a large, looming structure barely visible through the trees. It was a house, or perhaps a manor, with gabled roofs and darkened windows that seemed to stare back at me. It looked abandoned, but its size suggested there might still be someone living there. Desperation outweighed caution, and I pushed forward. The door was unlocked. It creaked open, and the scent of damp wood and mildew greeted me. "Hello," I called, my voice swallowed by the cavernous space. The flashlight revealed a grand but decayed interior, a sweeping staircase, faded wallpaper, and furniture shrouded in white sheets. My footsteps echoed as I stepped inside, water pooling beneath my shoes. A faint sound caught my attention, a low, rhythmic thumping, almost like a heartbeat. It seemed to come from beneath the floor. I told myself it was probably an old boiler or some other innocuous explanation, but the sound set my teeth on edge. "Is anyone here?" I tried again. No answer. Lightning illuminated the room, revealing a portrait above the fireplace. It depicted a man with hollow eyes and a sharp, angular face. His expression was impossible to read, somewhere between a smirk and a sneer. Beneath the portrait, an inscription read, "Elias Greaves, 1874. The thumping grew louder, almost insistent. I followed the sound to a door beneath the staircase. It was slightly ajar, revealing stone steps leading downward. Every rational part of me screamed to turn back, but something else, curiosity, stubbornness, foolishness, compelled me forward. The cellar was colder than the house above. The walls were lined with shelves holding dusty jars of something. Some were filled with liquids, others with unrecognizable objects suspended in murky brine. At the far end of the room, the thumping was louder, more distinct. It was coming from behind a large, iron door. Rust marred its surface, but the handle gleamed as though polished recently. Against all better judgment, I reached for it. The room beyond was small and circular, the walls lined with mirrors. In the center stood an antique chair, its wood darkened with age. Strapped to the chair was a mannequin. At least, I thought it was a mannequin. Its surface was a patchwork of porcelain and skin. I stepped closer, and my flashlight flickered. That's when I saw its chest rise and fall, shallow and mechanical, as though the thing was breathing. A sound escaped it, a low, guttural croak that wasn't quite human. I stumbled back, nearly dropping the flashlight. The mirrors around me reflected endless versions of the chair and its occupant, each distorted slightly, as though the reflections themselves were alive. And then it moved. Its head jerked up, the porcelain face cracking as it did. One eye was glass, unblinking. The other was very much alive, darting wildly as though it were trapped. The thing struggled against its bindings, and the sound it made was like nails dragged across metal. I ran. The door slammed shut behind me as I stumbled back into the cellar, heart hammering in my chest. The thumping noise was gone, replaced by an oppressive silence. I didn't stop until I reached the ground floor. But as I turned to leave, the house had changed. The furniture was no longer covered in sheets. Candles flickered in sconces, and the wallpaper looked new, vibrant. A low hum filled the air, almost musical. And then I saw them. People. Dozens of them. Standing in the shadows, their faces obscured. They were motionless, watching me. My breath caught in my throat as one stepped forward. It was the man from the portrait. Elias Greaves. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, his voice a low rasp. I just needed help," I stammered. His hollow eyes narrowed. "Help? You're beyond help now." The crowd advanced, their movements unnatural, almost puppet-like. I backed away, but the front door was gone, replaced by a solid wall. The hum grew louder, resonating in my skull. From behind me came a whisper, "Look." I turned and found myself facing a mirror. My reflection stared back, but it wasn't me. The figure in the glass was older, haggard, with hollow eyes that mirrored Elias's. I touched my face, and the reflection did the same, but the glass was warm under my fingers, pulsing like a heartbeat. When I woke up, I was strapped to the chair. My limbs wouldn't move, and my skin, it felt wrong, stiff and cold. Across from me, in the endless reflections, I saw them, the crowd, watching silently as Elias stepped forward, a porcelain mask in his hands. "We all become part of the house," he said, his voice almost gentle. The mask descended, and everything went dark. They found my car weeks later, abandoned on the side of the road. There was no sign of me or the house. But sometimes, on stormy nights, travelers claim to see lights flickering through the trees and hear a rhythmic thumping, like a heartbeat, echoing from somewhere deep within the woods.